First 45 years of my priesthood, or first monastic life, I was a Benedictine monk, and for the first 45 years of my experience, we always had the feast and celebrated the feast of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. The last 13 years as bishop, we lost Mary and Lazarus. We just have Martha. But anyway, so I got a little bit of both in this, I think, from my experience. We Benedictines, our monastic fathers, understood the importance of Jesus' relationship with Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, and it was important for our Benedictine way of life. St. Bernard, in particular, developed at length the meaning of this family relationship with the Savior for our Benedictine communities. Martha, Mary, and Lazarus are symbols of three kinds of living that are to be found in every community, even in our parish families. Martha is the type of those who serve in a more active way, maybe as officers or members or heads of committees. Mary, she is the type of those whose attention is given chiefly to prayer, adoration, contemplation, while Lazarus is a symbol of those who concentrate more on the hard labor of penance. And it's essential that we remember that these three are united in a single loving family. Rather than competing with one another, they cooperated and lived in harmony. While Mary, we hear, chose the best part, the others made it possible for her to live in quiet and peace, giving herself in prayerful attentiveness to the Lord. And I think today in the gospel we heard that she truly was human, though. You notice when Jesus came, Martha ran out to greet her, and Mary stayed at home. I think Mary was still mad at Jesus for not coming when her brother was sick. So she was pouting. But anyway, such is the view, that Benedict formed of our monastic life together. One of fraternal cooperation and so creative a home where the Savior could find the welcome that only love and faith can provide. Age quod agis is a proverb in Latin simply translated, do what you do. Do what you do. It is open to several interpretations or applications, but in the light of today's liturgy of the Word, I think we should interpret it in terms of our faith and religious practice. Do what you do. Martha was busy about many things, multitasking, we might say today, but she forgot her primary role was to be hospitable, to be a hostess, to make her guest feel welcomed. On the other hand, Martha gave her full attention to Jesus. Mary did, but Martha was busy about many things. Now, a story is told of a church that sold tickets to its Christmas midnight mass. If you didn't have a ticket, you couldn't get in. A teenage boy came looking for his father, but the usher wouldn't let him in because he didn't have a ticket. When the teenager pleaded with the pastor that he just needed to talk to his father just for a moment, the priest agreed and warned, if it's so important, you can come in and talk with him, but don't let me catch you praying. The staff at this church seems to have forgotten what they were to be doing. Now, most of us, you and I, most of us, no matter who we are, need to stop on occasion and ask, what am I doing? What am I doing? A dad can be so busy making money for his family that he neglects the family. Mom can be so intent on keeping the house clean, but she's serving, tolerating, rather than enjoying the kids around her. And pastors can be so focused on administration that they forget the compassion and the acceptance that their parishioners need. The difference between Martha and Mary was red tape versus red carpet. When we welcome Christ into our lives, as the Archbishop mentioned before the Mass, that we Benedictines have to accept everyone as Christ, we have to lay out the red carpet, not red tape. There are 1,752 canons in the Church's Code of Canon Law. It's the last one that reminds us that the salvation of souls must always be the supreme law of the Church. Be sure you really do what you do. The biblical Martha is most often remembered as the busybody. The busybody who focused about the food and the table setting, while her pious sister Mary chose the better part and sat at the feet of Jesus. Martha was not afraid, as we might say today, to get in Mary's face and take her to task for not doing her share of the work of hospitality. In today's gospel, Martha's assertive and abrasive qualities are all again apparent. She's not willing to wait in the house, as Mary does, until Jesus arrives. Instead, she runs out to meet Jesus on the road to Bethany and even chastises him for arriving too late to save her brother, Lazarus. Apparently, Martha was not one of those to whom people had to say, "Tell me how you really feel." She did. To focus on Martha's assertiveness and irascibility is perhaps justifiable, given the scant biblical information that we have about her. But that characterization leaves out something important that is at the heart of today's gospel: Martha's deep faith. Her expression of belief at the end of today's passage is what the evangelist of the fourth gospel seems as the most desired outcome of any encounter with Jesus. Martha's profession of faith is accurate in the sense that she says, "I have come to believe." I have come to believe. She has gone through a gradual process of having her eyes opened to the reality of who Jesus really is. As is typical of the notion of belief in John's Gospel, her coming to faith has been marked by a series of misunderstandings that are gradually clarified by Jesus. For example, her misperception of what Jesus means by Lazarus rising again. You and I, we present-day Christians, have for the most part had our faith handed on to us at an early age. We have inherited our religion, and to some extent, maybe we have taken it for granted. It's hard for us to imagine what it must have been like to encounter the person of Jesus. What could it have been like, as did Martha, and to come to a decision about who he really was and what his life and teaching truly meant? That faith-filled perception of Jesus was neither automatic nor inevitable. Martha may have been impetuous, she may have been impatient, she may have been irritable, but she gradually came to see something in Jesus that many of her contemporaries missed. In that, she serves as a model for all of us. As we commemorate these holy sisters and their brother, I pray that we can learn to imitate their unity of heart and faith. May this Eucharist this morning bestow on each of us the grace to make our community, to make our parish a place where Jesus, the life giver, is always welcomed with the faith and love that unites us to the Father in that life which knows no end. My brothers, you and I are called, age quod ages, to do what you do. And Pope Francis has certainly taught us in 1 year of his pontificate. In 1 year, he's shown us in so many ways what we are to do. We are to be shepherds. We are to smell like the sheep that we care for. We are the ones that cannot let anything get in our way of being present to the people we serve. Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, opened their homes to Jesus. We must open our hearts, must open our churches, must open our parishes to Jesus as well. Give us good example. And today, as we receive this Eucharist, as Jesus is present in our midst through our gathering, through our readings, and through this Eucharist, let's welcome him into our hearts and be like Mary, be attentive to his every word.